Hello, my friends. Nicholas Villars here, one half of the synth pop duo known as Super Divorce, Lebanon, Ohio's most electrifying synth pop duo. Also, purveyors of fine content here on YouTube. This is our YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. I'm Nicholas Villars, like I said. I want to welcome everyone this evening. It's a fairly late stream, so as we get going here, as I just check up on it and make sure that everything is streaming correctly, I'd like to remind everyone you can listen to our synth pop music over on Spotify. Just look up Super Divorce. Check out our newest album. It's called Action Figures. It's 10 songs of synth pop radiance, and it's wonderful. It's really fantastic. It's a fantastic album. You're gonna love it. Head over there, listen to it, and if you do love it, pick up a physical copy on CD, cassette tape, or vinyl record over at superdivorceme.com. You could also grab a Super Divorce Rules t-shirt. Those are fantastic as well. So let me just make sure that we're all set here. I just want to make sure. I always like to check. Are we good? So let me just make sure that yeah, we're sounding good. We're good. So it's a late night stream here. Going live at 2:52 a.m. here, Eastern Standard Time. Wanted to go live this evening and talk about a couple things. It's a strange mix bag, eh? The strange mix bag that we're going to talk about this evening. Real quick, actually, before we get into tonight's discussion of this right here, this is going to be one of the things we talk about. Before we get into that, I would like to congratulate our good brother here, Obi-Wan. He is a good brother. He is a really good brother. He's been hanging out with us a lot. He's a very reliable and dependable viewer, and he's started his own YouTube channel. He's been uploading some videos. He just uploaded one this evening, and it was a little bit of a beer review. I would say it's more of like a beer. It wasn't so much of a review. It was like a beer presentation. He was presenting some Australian beers, and I believe he's going to do individual videos for each beer that he presented. He was kind of putting out a little spread, a nice assortment of various Australian beers, because we had asked him on the stream last night while we were playing some video games. In the live chat, he was here, and we'd asked him what kind of beers he liked to partake of, and what might be the most common beers that people are enjoying in Australia. And so he gathered up a few of them, and he put them out on a little desk there, and you can actually see our album in the background, as well as the shipping parcel that it went out in. So that's pretty cool. I appreciated that, and so we look forward to seeing Obi-Wan break down these beers individually. Hopefully this will be a little extra incentive, some more inspiration, Obi-Wan, to get on that, because we want to see it. We'd like to drive some viewers your way and try and build your channel as well, my friend. So unfortunately, though, due to YouTube restrictions, I don't think that you can get a custom URL until you reach 100 viewers, until you've got 100 subs. At that point, then you can get like a youtube.com/whatever you want it to be. Obviously ours is youtube.com/superdivorce. So I'd like to see Obi-Wan get his own YouTube channel, his own URL. It's a milestone. It really is. It was something that we celebrated in this band because it took us a while to get there. We weren't doing live videos or anything at that point. It was just, from us uploading music videos, and really that's about it. There wasn't any sort of regular interaction that we were doing. I hadn't really thought of using YouTube the way that we've been using it recently until I started watching Ethan Van Sciver every day and saw what he was able to do with like growing his fan base through this platform. And I think it's great. It's my favorite platform on social media that I've ever used, and it feels very interactive. You don't have to force a lot in this format. You know, there's not a lot of overthinking things, at least when you're doing the live videos. This, you kind of get an idea of what you want to talk about. You hit go live, and then here you go, and you just talk. And when people join in the live chats, that's really cool, because then you've got that feedback immediately, and the feedback actually ends up producing more content, so like in real time. So it's a great way to not only interact with people, but also to provide entertainment and things for people to watch or listen to. And it kind of morphs and it changes as you're doing it. You don't know exactly where it's going to go. So that's kind of it's kind of a fun, well, I guess it's got like a little bit of a wild card nature to it when you go live. And I guess this wouldn't be for everyone, you know. If you're not the type of person who doesn't mind talking a bunch, then you're probably not going to dig this. But I like it. I think it's fun. I can just ramble. It's no problem. But I really enjoy it. I think it's the most fun when people are in the live chats. So, again, real quick, if you've not subscribed to this channel and you're checking it out, maybe for the first time, or you've listened to or watched a few videos, please sub, and please bong the gong for notifications, as we say. That way, when we go live, YouTube will notify you, and you'll be able to join the video as it's streaming. Join the live chat, send your questions, your comments. Typically, we always read everything as it's coming in, try to address everyone who has something to say. So it's a good way to build rapport. It's fun. All right. So with that, my friends, let's get into today's Star Wars news. And, you know, this is not an exclusively Star Wars channel. First and foremost, we are a synth pop band. We've got music to pedal. We're doing that kind of thing. But I guess this is kind of big news, so we should probably talk about it. Star Wars Resistance trailer revealed. Checking out this article over on StarWars.com. This was just, well, technically yesterday. I'm still up. I'm still awake. I'm still living out my day of August 17th. I have not gone to bed for the day of August 17th yet. So this article, I could say it came out today. Technically, it's rolled over past midnight, so it is the 18th now. But, you know what I'm saying. Star Wars Resistance trailer revealed. Prepare for launch when the new anime-inspired series debuts on the Disney Channel with a 1-hour broadcast Sunday, October 7th. So it's coming. Star Wars Resistance that we know, Dave Filoni, the hopeful savior of Star Wars, he is not going to be playing the role in Resistance that he played in the Clone Wars, unfortunately. There's been a lot of speculation as to why that might be. I think that the thing we should hope for is that he is going to be taking over for Kathleen Kennedy very shortly, and he is currently in the process of transitioning his focus onto the main saga movies and the thrust of the theatrical films as we move forward, trying to clean up the mess that's been made over the course of the past few years. That's what we're hoping for. So this is not going to be a Dave Filoni. It's not going to be a Dave Filoni masterpiece. It's not going to be something that he's watching over very, very carefully. This is going to be something that is put out, and I don't know. Let's read a little bit about it. I've watched the trailer already, but I'll kind of hold off until we get through this article. Let's see. Oh, hey, it's Obi-Wan is here. Hello, Obi-Wan. He is just getting down to his first ever quadruple X Gold, which is one of the beers that he presented in the video that I mentioned earlier in this broadcast. So, Obi-Wan, I don't know if you were here at the very beginning, but I gave a little overview of the video that you did. The first video featuring your voice, actually, on YouTube. So I was saying that you'd done a little presentation of some beers, and that we were really looking forward to you diving into each one individually, and and getting us all hip to some lovely Australian brew. So good luck with the quadruple X Gold. I hope it's tasty. So today we got our first look at Star Wars Resistance, the new anime-inspired animated series, and a promise of more to come when the series debuts on Sunday, October 7th, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Disney Channel, Disney Now, and Disney Channel Video on Demand, with subsequent airings on Disney XD. The trailer comes complete with familiar faces like Poe Dameron and everyone's happily beeping buddy, BB-8. A glimpse at the new cast of characters including Kazuda Xiono, I'm guessing it's Xiono, Kazuda Xiono, the young pilot recruited by the Resistance. Maybe they said this in the trailer, but I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. So, the young pilot recruited by the Resistance, and an introduction to the Colossus, a massive refueling platform on an outer rim ocean planet. The series, set prior to the events in The Force Awakens, also welcomes Oscar Isaac and Gwendolyn Christie to the voice cast, reprising their roles as Poe and Captain Phasma, respectively. See the trailer for yourself below. If you have not watched the trailer yet, you should check it out. You should go ahead and do that at the very least. I'm not going to... I don't think I should show it on this video because... I don't think that, well, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to get demonetized. We're not monetized right now anyhow, so that's not a worry of mine. I would prefer to not have the video flagged for some silly reason, We're also thrilled to bring you intel on the first episode. In the 1-hour premiere, the recruit, Poe and BB-8 assign Kaz. They're already shortening his name to Kaz. I think of Kaz... Or I see Kaz and I think of Kaz Miller from the Metal Gear Solid series. Well, just the Metal Gear Solid. The Metal Gear series in general. He's not just in Metal Gear Solid. Kaz Miller from Metal Gear. To the Colossus, where he meets a cast of colorful new aliens, droids, and creatures. While undercover to spy on the growing threat of the First Order, Kaz works as a mechanic and lives with Poe's old friend Yeager, a veteran pilot who operates a starship repair shop run by his crew, Tam, Niku, and a battered old astromech called Bucket. Old bucket of bolts. 1 second. Obi-Wan said thanks. He's going to concentrate on recording and leave the chat for now. All right, Godspeed, friend. Take care, and best of luck on your video. I look forward to seeing it very soon. And I hope that beer is good. All right, let's see. Can you imagine what it's like to be an ace pilot? Kaz asks. This fall, imagine no more. Welcome to the Resistance. So, yeah, how I said this. Can you imagine what it's like to be an ace pilot? That's kind of how Kaz sounds in the trailer. He's got that kind of aura to him. He seems like he's going to be a very annoying main character right off the bat. Just like a bumbling buffoon who's going to learn his way around aviation. He'll get there eventually. But in the beginning, he's going to be an oaf. He's going to be a dweeb. He's not going to be competent. He's going to be made to look foolish by everyone that he interacts with, I believe, including droids. Droids are going to make him look silly. Probably Bucket's going to make him look silly. Tam's going to make him look silly. Nico's going to make him look silly. Everyone will. Everyone is going to. Everyone's going to have a laugh at his expense. That's going to be a theme throughout probably the first season. This is my guess. This is my forecast for how the first season will go. That's just what I gathered from the trailer. That's about all I know. And then there's like Captain Phasma. You see Captain Phasma. You see Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron's going to be trying to teach our friend Kaz. He's going to teach him all about how to be a what did he say? What did he say? An ace pilot. Poe is going to do his best to teach this guy, Kaz, how to be an ace pilot, and it's not going to work out too well. It's going to be very frustrating. Poe's going to be very irritated, and he's going to he's going to be he's going to be at the end of his rope throughout a lot of the series, I think. And this guy is going to get on everyone's nerves. Kaz is going to get on everyone's nerves. And he's going to be a fool. And it's going to be the story of how he has to overcome his foolishness to make a difference in the fight against the Resistance. And we might learn some things about the Resistance and how they came to be. Let's hope. Because that would be a good thing. That would be good to learn some details about who the enemy is in this new trilogy. At some point you'd like to know something about them. That might be good to explore. Yeah. That might be worth looking into. Might be worth telling your fans about. So maybe we'll do that a little bit. But that's the impression I got. That's the thrust of this show. A goofy guy learning to be an ace pilot, and that's what I saw. It doesn't look like it packs a punch. I'll say that. The art style, the animation, is not bad. It actually kind of reminds me of the newest Zelda game. Kind of reminds me of the newest Zelda game on the Switch, Breath of the Wild, which I loved. Had a lot of fun playing that one. Would recommend it to anyone. So I'm not hating on that at all. I think the art, the animation looks pretty good, but the way that it's used, I would say, the story that it's telling, that's a better way of putting it. The story that it's telling doesn't look like it holds much weight. It looks very light and bouncy. You know, the story that we're being presented with here, it doesn't feel like there's much gravity to it. So far, from what I've seen of the Clone Wars, even though I'm not a huge fan of that art style, it feels heavy. Even with all of the little kid stuff that's thrown in, you still get the sense that there's some important stuff going on. And it's not all fun and games all the time. There is some violence in it, you know, and the violence takes place during battles that you know are very important, that are going to shape the world, this universe that you're diving into when you watch the show, and the universe that you've come to know from the movies and the books and video games and everything. So that's what I would say was different about this. While I like the art, the animation style better in Resistance, the story that I am getting the impression that's going to be told is not one that I feel is very important. And I think that has also something to do with the fact that the first two movies in the sequel trilogy don't really feel very important. That's just the way that it's gone. It's not something that I like. I would rather have been floored and blown away by this trailer, but I just wasn't. So if you feel differently, you know, let me know in the comments. Tell me why. Tell me why I should care about this. Or if you agree with me, tell me your impression too. You know, maybe you agree with me, but for different reasons. I'd like to know. And if you feel the exact same way as me, then I'd also like to know that too. So leave a comment. We always comment back. But yeah, Resistance. We got, what is it? Just about a little less than 2 months until it premieres. So I'll give it a go. But I'm just not holding my breath for it to be the savior of the sequel trilogy, the way that the Clone Wars seems to have rescued the prequel trilogy for a lot of people. I don't really think that's going to happen with this. I don't think this is going to have a very long life. I don't think that the series will run for, what was it? I think Clone Wars has 120 episodes or something like that. I don't think this will get anywhere near the length that the Clone Wars got to. I'm envisioning this being maybe 1 or 2 seasons, if that. So we'll find out, though. I could be wrong, and maybe it's going to be awesome, and maybe it will make everything better, or at least not so awful. But my initial thought here is that it's going to be an unnecessary addition to the the sequel trilogy. Even though it takes place before the sequel trilogy, I know that. I get it. It's trying to fill you in a little bit on what happened before, but it still connects to it, so much so that you're seeing characters from the sequel trilogy that you really don't care about. So that's how I feel about Resistance. We'll find out more about it, obviously, as we move forward, as we get closer to the release date. Maybe they'll do another trailer, a little bit more of an extended look at what we're getting into. And if they release that, then we'll talk about it. You can be sure of that. So that's our Star Wars talk for tonight. So now I would like to do something a little bit different. I would like to switch gears and hop on over to WWE.com. And this is kind of a first. I'm a huge wrestling fan, guys. Have been for a long time. Really since probably 4th grade. That's when I really got into wrestling. The year that, well, it would have been 95, I guess, is when I really got into it. 1995. Yeah. Leading up to the 96 Royal Rumble, when Shawn Michaels won, and then went to WrestleMania 12 and defeated Bret Hart in the 60-minute Iron Man match to become the WWF champion at that point. Very inspirational. Very pivotal moment for me in my life, oddly enough. Had a big impact on me as far as seeing a hero do something that you thought was impossible, that you were pulling for him. It didn't look like it was going to happen. Then he wins. Yes, I know. I don't leave any comments about wrestling being fake, please. We all know that at this point. It's scripted. Yes, it's like any other TV show. At this point in 2018, if you are one of the people who still says, well, wrestling's fake, imagine saying that about The Walking Dead. Imagine saying that about Game of Thrones. You wouldn't do it. Only an idiot would say something like that, right? So that's really all we need to say about that. We know it's a TV show, guys. It's not like the UFC. It's not like watching a sporting competition per se. It's athletes, yes, athletes doing things on a sort of stage. It's a performance. It's fun to watch. It tells a story. It's it's usually a bad guy versus a good guy. There's a story being told. Just enjoy it. Try it sometime. Put your cynicism to the side for a moment and just try and watch it. You go into it as if it's really happening. Again, the way that you watch any other scripted television show. You're not watching your favorite TV show. Again, like I said, The Walking Dead. You're not watching The Walking Dead and and shouting at the TV every time a zombie comes on that the zombie's not real. Of course it's not real. It's a TV show. Okay? So wrestling is the same way. That's how you have to approach it. And at this point in 2018, I would say that 99.9999999 repeating percent of wrestling fans would say the exact same thing. Virtually no one believes that these matches are actually competitions the same way that MMA fighters are engaging in competition. I would say that the same number of people believe wrestling is real. The same number of people, you would find the same number of people who believe The Walking Dead is real. So it's just not an issue. No one needs to say that anymore. No one needs to bring it up. It's been discarded. It's been dealt with. We've moved on from that. Okay? So, with that explanation, with that preface here, I wanted to talk about the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 results. This just took place earlier this evening. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn has become sort of like NXT's WrestleMania. It always feels like the biggest takeover every year, and this was the fourth one. I'm trying to think. It might be the best TakeOver Brooklyn so far. I'd have to go back and watch the other ones front to back to really say definitively, but every match on this card was great. So I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to talk about a little wrestling tonight because I feel like, why not? We're already dabbling in so much on this channel. It's like, why not? We're just gonna talk about whatever feels right for the evening. And tonight it was Star Wars and it was wrestling, so that's what we're going with. It's kind of a strange mix, isn't it? I'm sure that the fan bases have a bit of crossover, but it's not something that you would expect. You know, it's not like doing a program about zombie movies and vampire movies. It's fairly different, isn't it? These fan bases, they're pretty far apart. You've got your sci-fi universe, and then you've got your sort of scripted sports universe. You know, I feel like it'd be more appropriate to the common eye for me to be doing a show about, let's see, maybe professional wrestling and American Ninja Warrior or something like that. You know, sort of the glitzy, glamoury, somewhat scripted. I know American Ninja Warrior, those are people competing for real. I get that. But you see what I mean? It's in the same realm, I think. It's not a sci-fi production. That's what I'm saying. So these fandoms, they're quite different. They're quite far apart. But I happen to be in both. I'm a big mark. So here I am, and I'm going to talk about some wrestling tonight. We're going to talk about TakeOver for a few minutes. So this was TakeOver Brooklyn 4. The main event was Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano in the last man standing match for the NXT Championship, which was held going in by Tommaso Ciampa. Says the most personal rivalry in NXT history reached new heights in barbarism at TakeOver Brooklyn 4 as Johnny Gargano fought tooth and nail with NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa in a lawless last man standing match for the black and yellow brand's top crown. So let's take a look at these. We had the night kicked off with the NXT Tag Team Championships, and the Undisputed Era defeated a Mustache Mountain to retain the NXT Tag Team titles. I don't think I should if I read through all of these, that's going to take a long time. I'll just give you an overview. This was a really fun match. It was a hard-hitting match. I really like a good tag team match, guys. And about the only place that you'll find them in the WWE is on the NXT brand. And I think there might be some stuff going on 205 Live, but I'll admit I don't watch 205 Live very often. And they don't have 205 Live tag team champions. I don't believe. I don't know. It's been a long time since I watched 205 Live. It's like their cruiserweight show. Smaller guys typically on that one. And they don't really talk about them much. You know, they're kind of an afterthought. Even though I've heard the show's really good, it's just there's so much wrestling out to watch now. And I've pretty much stopped watching Raw every week. I think a lot of people are in the same boat with that. It's like 3 hours on Monday and then 2 hours for SmackDown on Tuesday nights. And in those two shows, it's like there's so much filler and so much that you don't need to see and such low quality matches happening all the time. I think a lot of fans feel like all they need to do is kind of tune in for the pay-per-views. And that's really where I am at this point. There's just so much other stuff going on in my life. I don't have time to sit down and watch whatever 7 hours of wrestling every week. Maybe if it was really good, I would try and make the time. But I've gradually found myself watching less and less as time's gone on because the product has become so stale and so nonsensical. The writing is abysmal. There aren't any storylines to get invested in on the main roster product, which would be Raw and SmackDown. NXT, if you're not familiar with the NXT brand, it's kind of like a developmental league. It is where they will put a lot of guys that they sign from independent promotions. They'll start them out in NXT, and then they'll kind of build them up and introduce them to the WWE style, get them comfortable with working in front of WWE crowds, get them in front of television audiences and in front of the world, practice their promo skills, all this kind of stuff, you know, practicing the WWE style and you know, in totality. Oddly enough, though, the NXT brand is consistently more entertaining than the main roster product. So it's like they talk about NXT guys getting called up, in air quotes, to either Raw or SmackDown. But what happens is these guys get called up and then they lose their magic. They don't write them into good storylines. They don't give them opportunities to shine in front of the crowd. They give them 5 minutes for matches and expect people to be so excited to see them, when I think what the crowd in NXT loves is they love watching people perform at the highest level for an extended period when they have an ample amount of time to showcase what they can do in the ring, the stories they can tell in there. You need a good amount of time. I'd say you need 10 minutes at the minimum. Not saying that you can't have a decent match under 10 minutes, but fans, I'm saying, what do fans want? I think fans would like to see matches that are at least 10 minutes long, that you're not taking 5 commercial breaks throughout, where you stay focused on the stuff that's happening in the ring, not cutting to the crowd incessantly, you know, and doing all these strange camera angles and zooms every time someone throws a punch and all this ridiculous nonsense they do with their main roster products. They don't really do that kind of stuff with NXT. It's presented more like an actual sport, and that draws people in, because that's what you're trying to do when you sit down and watch wrestling, is you're trying to get invested in this fictional story that's being told to you through the lens of a sporting competition, through the lens of a fight that's taking place, through that kind of struggle. And so what they do on the main roster is they constantly are kind of reminding you that it's fake and that it's not real, and it's awful. You know, it takes it just takes you out of it, and it makes you not want to watch. Anyhow, so let's talk a little bit about NXT. Let's talk about TakeOver tonight. This tag team match was great. I love a great tag team match. What got me off on that tangent, I think, is I was going to say you don't really see much. Well, you see some tag team wrestling on the main roster, but you don't see much good tag team wrestling. You definitely don't see much great tag team wrestling. And this was a great tag team wrestling match. Guys who know how to team well with each other. Guys who aren't just two big stars put together in a team, who don't really show any sort of chemistry. That's a main theme with stuff. I would say like the tag division on Raw and SmackDown. A lot of times it'll be dudes who are just kind of paired up. It's like big name guy and big name guy, and now they're a tag team. And one guy tags in, and he kind of goes in and does the stuff that he would do during a singles match, and then he tags his partner in, and that guy comes in and does the same stuff you'd see him do during a singles match. The cool thing about great tag team wrestling is when you see two teams who operate as units in their own right. You know, teams that aren't just made up of two singles wrestlers, but teams that are made up of actual tag team wrestlers who grow together, who sort of function as one, who have a strategy, who have sort of a trademark, who operate differently in that setting than they would if it was just them one-on-one with another guy. That's the cool thing about watching tag team wrestling. When it's great, that's what you'll see. You'll see two teams going at it, not just four individuals. So this was a nice, hard-hitting, high-energy, pretty fast-paced tag team wrestling match, and it was fun to watch. So I would recommend watching this. I recommend watching this entire pay-per-view, guys. You should get the WWE Network for $9.99 a month. It's a steal. Even though the weekly shows are kind of crap, still worth it for the pay-per-views, in my opinion. And then all the pay-per-views you can go back and watch from the years past, from the WWE, WWF, WCW, all these other things, ECW. Yeah, it's a good deal. Anyhow, the Undisputed Era retained the tag team titles. That is this guy right here, Roderick Strong, and this guy right here, Kyle O'Reilly. They're part of a group called the Undisputed Era with Bobby Fish and Adam Cole, baby. So that was a fun opener. Then we had Velveteen Dream defeating EC3. Velveteen Dream, this gentleman right here spitting the water. He's kind of like a flamboyant, mind games type of guy. He tries to get into his opponent's heads. You know, he's very flashy, very arrogant, very cocky. His attitude, his demeanor is kind of like if you took who's he a mix of? You know, he's got kind of the, I wouldn't say rock and roll. Well, maybe glam rock. He's kind of a glam rock guy. Kind of inspired by Prince. He's very sexual. You know, he's always pelvic thrusting and taunting in this way, and sort of tries to get under his opponent's skin, and in these odd ways. I think he'll be a big star someday, I believe. He's got a lot of charisma. Anyway, this match with EC3, who is this guy over here. You see him right there. That's EC3. He's a big muscular guy. He's a throwback, I would say. He looks like a guy who would have been around during like the super roided out era in the 80s. I'm not saying that he is on steroids. He's probably on something. He's got a very, very impressive physique. He just looks like he was plucked from that era when all the guys were like bodybuilders. You know, they all look that way. So he doesn't, he's serviceable. He does a decent job in the ring. He's not going to wow you with his flash or his style. He is very strong though, so that's good. He's got that going for him. This match was, I think this was maybe the weakest on the card. Perhaps. I'm not saying it was bad. It was just, it was okay. It was a good match. It was good enough. I'll say that. It was good enough. It was good enough to watch. I wasn't watching it and having like the thought that I wish it would be over soon, or that that was boring me. It was just like, it felt like a standard wrestling match that you would see at at a pay-per-view. I guess a little bit more intense and a little longer than something you'd see on a weekly show, but not the best match of the night. We'll say that, but worth watching once, perhaps. There were a couple pretty impressive spots on the outside of the ring here, on the apron area, from Velveteen Dream. He did an elbow drop from the top rope onto EC3, who was lying on the ring apron. So that was a pretty impressive move, pretty dangerous, but they pulled it off. They are professionals, so I'm sure they had practiced it. They knew what they were doing, guys. It's okay. So Velveteen Dream won that one. That was just like a grudge match, no title on the line or anything like that. Just a good old-fashioned wrestling match, guys. Won it via Dream Valley Driver. That's what he hit the Dream Valley Driver on the apron, and then he connected with the elbow drop. Ricochet versus Adam Cole. Ricochet defeated Adam Cole to become the new NXT North American Champion. Adam Cole was the first NXT North American Champion, and he just lost his title tonight to this man right here, Ricochet. One of the best in the business right now. He is just he's a phenomenal talent, phenomenal athlete. You never seen a guy flip around quite the way he does. He's got body control like you wouldn't believe, folks. It's fantastic. And this was a great match. Was it the best match of the night? It's tough to say, because the main event was spectacular. The main event was great. But there are different types of matches. The main event was last man standing match. So it's like no holds barred, anything goes, just trying to beat the hell out of your opponent until he can't get up, until he can't answer the 10 count. So it's going to be a little bit different style of match. I'm just trying to think what was more entertaining to watch. I would say that the main event was the best match of the night. This was second, though. This was second. And Adam Cole hits a super kick on Ricochet during this match that you just have to see. Ricochet, what is he doing? I think he's going for a springboard moonsault, and Adam Cole just pegs him like mid-air, mid-backflip. Adam Cole pegs him with a super kick like right in the side of the neck, and he just crumples. Ricochet just crumples and falls down. If you're following along, if you don't know who I'm talking about, Adam Cole is this guy right here. Adam Cole, baby. That's his saying. He puts his hands up and Adam Cole, baby, and the whole crowd does it with him, and it's fantastic. Adam Cole is this guy right here with the beard and the long hair and the black and yellow. Ricochet is this guy right here in the white, looking very angelic as he's got his arms spread wide, coming at Adam Cole. But yeah, this guy, Ricochet, like I said, flips like you wouldn't believe. But he went for a flip. He went for the springboard moonsault, which is like you run at the ropes, you jump up on them, and then you basically use the ropes to launch yourself into a backflip and then land on your opponent in the middle of the ring. And he was going for that, and as he was flipping in mid-air, Adam Cole just gave him a super kick and blasted him right in the side of the neck. Ricochet falls down, and then what was it? Cole picked him up like right after that. It was fast. It was almost like it was in fast motion. How quick and aggressive Adam Cole was, and grabbing him right after that, and picked him up into, what did he hit? I'm trying to remember. Jeez, what was it? I feel like it was the what do they call it? The Ushigoroshi? Was that it? Something like that. Kind of a neck breaker move, but it was very aggressive, very impressive too. I thought the match was going to be over, but it was not. Ricochet kicked out. Ricochet went on to win the NXT North American Championship. He got him with the 630 off the top rope, and that was that. And we have a new NXT North American Champion. So now that Adam Cole has lost the NXT North American Championship, is he headed to the main roster? Because that's always speculation. When someone loses a title in NXT, you never know. You're always wondering if that means they're going to be called up. So maybe Adam Cole will actually appear at SummerSlam tomorrow night. That would be interesting. But we'll find out. I don't know if Adam Cole is quite done with Ricochet. They might have to run it back, guys. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up on Raw or SmackDown very soon, because he's super over. He's got the whole crowd behind him. You're going to see a Raw or SmackDown audience screaming Adam Cole, baby, very soon. Here we had Kairi Sane defeating Shayna Baszler to become the new NXT Women's Champion. And I couldn't have been happier about this. I'm not a Shayna Baszler fan. I never have been. I can't get into this lady. I don't. She's got like the MMA background. You know, they really try to build that up. She's kind of billed as the tough lady in NXT. She's a tough gal. I will say that. But her matches, they're not always a lot of fun to watch. This one was pretty fun to watch because Kairi Sane is very fun to watch. Kairi Sane right here, she is like an anime pirate. She comes out with the sort of glittery tricorn hat. She carries like a ship wheel with her when she comes out. She's got this very majestic music that plays. You can just see her. You can imagine her leaving the arena on an airship, and flying away into the night sky. I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happened. But Kairi Sane, long story short, she won. She's got this amazing elbow drop she does right here. You can see this picture. She is mid elbow drop. It's a fantastic elbow drop, and she's now the champion. So there she is, holding her new championship belt. Congratulations to Kairi Sane, and also congratulations are in order to Ricochet. And then here's our main event. NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa defeated Johnny Gargano in a last man standing match. This is probably the most memorable moment from this match. Like I said earlier, this is like a blood feud at this point. These guys, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, they hate each other. They're former tag team partners. They had a falling out. Tommaso Ciampa turned on his buddy Johnny Gargano right here, also known as Johnny Wrestling because he's such a great wrestler. Tommaso turned on his best friend. Tommaso Ciampa was the best man at Johnny Gargano's wedding, and then he turned on him, and he's been a complete dick ever since. Now when he walks out to the ring, he comes out in complete silence. He's the NXT champion. Tommaso Ciampa is. Here he is. There's his picture. You see him right there. This guy. Right here. There he is again. He comes out to the ring. He has no music. Usually you just hear a chorus of fuck you, Ciampa. Fuck you, Ciampa. That kind of thing. That's how badly he is hated. But that's how perfectly he plays his character. Even on social media, he keeps up kayfabe. Kayfabe is, if you're not familiar here, kayfabe is like the storyline. That's the character that he plays. When you're acting in kayfabe, that means that you are operating as that character who you're playing on TV, on the program. But when you see Tommaso Ciampa on Twitter, he's still keeping up his character. He talks to people that way. He's rude. He's hateful. And it's great because at one point in wrestling, that's how all the guys were. Before it was out in the open, people knew for a long time that wrestling was scripted, that it wasn't real like boxing or anything like that. But they still made the guys stay in character. They didn't want the cat to be completely out of the bag. They like to keep people guessing just a little bit, or wonder, well, maybe that part of it's real, or that part, some of the wrestlers, actually quite a few of them, will break character on social media. They'll be nice to fans. They'll take pictures with guys they're feuding with. You'll see them out to eat and stuff like that. Tommaso Ciampa does not do any of that. He maintains pretty much perfect kayfabe all the time. And it shows because people hate him, and he's achieving the effect that he wants in his field, because he's trying to be a bad guy. A lot of times, heels or bad guys in wrestling will accidentally get over. People will start cheering them because they're seen as kind of cool. They're edgy. They're like anti-heroes. Tommaso Ciampa is not an anti-hero. He is just a dick. And this guy, Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, he's such a sweetheart. You want him to win. You want him to finally capture that NXT championship. And he's suffered so much heartbreak over like the past year or so in trying to attain that achievement. He just can't do it, and he came up short again tonight in another heartbreaking loss. This was match of the night, in my opinion. This is a moment from the match right here. I think probably the best part of the match. So Johnny Gargano was outside of the ring, sitting against the barricade that kind of goes up to where the timekeeper sits. And Tommaso Ciampa was looking at him from the other side of the trying to describe this properly. Basically, Tommaso Ciampa was maybe 20 or 30 feet away. He was holding a steel chair. He got a full head of steam. He ran right at Johnny Wrestling and just blasted the chair into Johnny's face with his knee. He ran full steam ahead with this chair in front of him, kind of thrust the chair into Johnny's face, and then plowed his knee into it as well, and it pushed all of them through the barricade. The barricade came down, and then Tommaso Ciampa got up and just began grabbing every item he could find and throwing it on top of Johnny Gargano until there was just like a mountain of barricade walls, chairs, briefcases, whatever the hell was on the outside of the ring, like all the announcers' chairs, like these big beefy leather chairs, they're nice and comfy, just throwing those into a big pile, and Gargano was buried underneath. And for good measure, he actually threw one of the ring crew on top of him as well, a guy who had been kind of caught in the crossfire, who was like laid out on the ground. Ciampa picked him up and threw him on top of this pile too. So it was like a pile of debris and also a human body just kind of tossed on there for good measure, like I said. And the referee started his count. It was like, oh my God, no, he can't. He's not going to be able to push out of this. But then he does, just barely got up before the 10 count. And that's where it gets a little nerve-wracking as a fan. You know, that's where it kind of breaks down the wall between the story that's being told and then the performance that's being put on. Because he's buried under all this shit. It's like so heavy. It's legitimately heavy. And he waits until like the last second. And, you know, so it's like as the ref counts 9, he's just starting to push up out of it and has to kind of launch himself up to his feet and grab a hold of the barricade, like right in front of where the fans are, to hold himself up so he's standing again to break that count. And in that moment, it's like if he slipped or something went wrong, you know, his leg fell asleep, or he had, you know, gotten hit in a certain way where he couldn't get up when he tried to. Well, they say that the ref is supposed to call it like a shoot, call it like it's really happening, is what they tell the ref. So if someone accidentally forgets to kick out when they're supposed to, if they're being pinned and they don't kick out, the ref is supposed to just count it 1, 2, 3, and then the performer obviously would get in a lot of shit when they go backstage. They'd be reprimanded for not doing their job correctly. So it's like in this case where Johnny Gargano is buried under a mountain of debris and then waits until like the count of 9 to begin getting up and launching himself to his feet to grab a hold of this barricade. It's like you're watching as a fan, you want him to break the count and get up, but then also as a fan of the performer himself, you don't want anything bad to happen to the guy. You know, it's like, oh my God, just please make it to your feet. If you're trying to get up, I hope you actually make it. I hope nothing goes wrong here, because that would be catastrophic to have the main event not end the way it's supposed to. Because if he would have had something malfunction, if he would have slipped and didn't make it to the 10 count, or didn't make it up before the 10 count hit, then that would have been the end of the match. They would have had to improvise something, because the pay-per-view went on for quite a bit longer after this moment, after this pile-on segment. So I'm sure that they would have figured out some way to either continue the match or something. But it is nerve-wracking when something like that happens. You do have some respect. You have a lot of respect for these guys to go out there and do this, and because there are no guarantees. Some people get really hurt doing this kind of stuff. So anyhow, Tommaso Ciampa won by the skin of his teeth. Kind of a strategic error at the very end of the match led to Tommaso retaining again, similarly to what happened in their last meeting, where it was kind of another last-minute strategic error that led to Tommaso winning the last time. So I don't know if Johnny's ever going to win. I don't know if it's ever going to happen for him. I don't know if he'll ever win the NXT title at this point. It's just like crushing defeat after crushing defeat for him. So I want to see him do it. I think a lot of fans do. We love Johnny wrestling, but tonight was not his night. But it was a great show. Great show for NXT. I don't think any of the matches SummerSlam tomorrow will live up to this match or the NXT North American Championship match. SummerSlam is the big production. It's one of the big four, as they call it in the WWE. You've got SummerSlam in August, Survivor Series in November, the Royal Rumble in January, and then WrestleMania in March or April. Those are like the big four pay-per-views. There's, typically one pay-per-view every month. The others are just kind of like, they fill in the gaps. But the big four are the ones that people typically like have parties for, and I'm having a party for SummerSlam tomorrow. It's going to be a kind of combined birthday party / SummerSlam party, so that's going to be a lot of fun. it's more of a spectacle. Um, it's a big production, and that's kind of the largeness of it. I'm not expecting the matches to be as good as anything on this NXT takeover from this evening, which kind of sucks because they have the potential for it, and I hope I'm wrong, because every now and then they do have a great match or two on a main roster pay-per-view, but you just can't really expect it, unfortunately. If any match does it, I think it's going to probably be AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. That one has a lot of potential, but I wonder how much time they're going to get, because that's a big problem. They don't give these guys enough time to work quite often. That's the case, and then they just have to kind of whip together, a few exchanges of moves, and then before you know it, both guys have done their finishers several times, and then there's some sort of screwy ending, and that's that. But maybe tomorrow we'll get a proper, 20-minute Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles classic. That would be wonderful. I'd like to see that. That'd be a good birthday present from the WWE to me. I'll hope for that. That's my birthday wish. That's my birthday wish that I'm asking of the WWE for tomorrow. Please just make Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles fantastic. Just make it a fantastic match. The main event, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Let's just get it over with. That's what I say. Just give Roman the title and let Brock go back to the UFC, and let's be done with Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar forever. Let's close that chapter. Let's make it happen tomorrow. As far as Roman Reigns goes, let's just crown his ass. He's the big dog. We get it. Fine. Put the belt on him. Give him the Universal title and let him keep it for 20 years. That's fine. Let's just be done with Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Okay? So, that's that. I think for now, though, I am about to wrap up here. I'm going to go to bed soon. Yeah, this was all me. Obi-Wan stopped in for a minute. He's making his own video, and I hope his video is going well. I'll have to watch it later, and once he's able to get a URL, we will definitely plug his channel here. I will invite Obi-Wan to share a link to his video on this one as well in the comments section. Obi-Wan, if you're watching this later, please feel free to leave a link to your video. But also, as an advisory, let me also say this. If you're listening in the future and you are not Obi-Wan and you're thinking about leaving a link to your video in our comments section, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not the way to do it. It's not proper. I don't do that on other pages. It's not polite. What you should do is you should get the blessing of the person. Get the blessing of the person who runs the page. Or if you want to plug yourself, at the very least, do it via super chat. But I think there's even like an etiquette to that as well. Super chats are not for getting cheap advertising, not having people that you enjoy watching read your advertising for cheap. That's not what they're for. So don't do that. If you wanna do a super chat like every now and again and say, hey, I did this or I did that, I'd like for you to check it out, please. Something special, something unique, that'd be cool. But try and build up a rapport, build a relationship of some sort, and then the community will probably welcome you, and they'll want to see what you're up to. Just like old Obi-Wan here, he's been hanging out. We've become brothers over the internet, and I want to see what he's up to, and I would like for him to share his work with us, and I would like for him to share his work with all of you who are listening too. So. Okay, that's that. Until next time, please check us out on Spotify or Apple Music or iTunes or YouTube. Look up Action Figures. If you're on Spotify, give us a follow there. Listen to our album Action Figures if you like it. Head on over to superdivorceme.com. Pick up a copy on CD, cassette tape, or vinyl record. Also grab yourself a Super Divorce Rules t-shirt. Sub while you're here. Bong the gong for notifications. Join us for live videos and live chats. I don't usually start streaming at 3 in the morning, but I had to tonight because it was a busy day. Lots going on, and this is when I got around to it. So at least we did something, right? And comment, like this video, please. Please like it. If you don't like it, then you can always give it a thumbs down. You know, that's within your rights. Is it hate speech? I don't know. It depends on whether or not you hated this video. What else? Anything else? Comment. We always comment back. And I think that's about it for now, guys. So, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon. Y'all take real good care. Good night.